You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, breaking news coming out of Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump and his wife, Melania Trump, both have tested positive for COVID-19. It was about 17 hours ago when this tweet was sent out confirming the diagnosis. Tonight, Flotus and I tested positive for COVID-19. We'll begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together, but there's been a lot of things that have been happening since that particular announcement. First of all, we now know that it was Hope Hicks who tested positive for coronavirus. That came down yesterday, but Donald Trump still went to a fundraiser at his mansion in New Jersey. The folks who were there did not know about this positive test. Then they came forward with this. What also happened is we now know that a number of people have also been testing positive. First of all, the GOP chairwoman, Roland McDaniel, she was at the Supreme Court announcement in the Rose Garden on Saturday. She has tested positive. Senator Mike Lee of Utah, who was also at that particular event, he has tested positive. The White House also has sent a statement out showing that several White House reporters, they have also tested positive for coronavirus right now. And then, of course, we saw the information that went out where the White House was announced that Donald Trump had been given a particular treatment, not hydrochloroquine. He had been given a particular treatment. Then the announcement came out that he is going to be going to Walter Reed, they say, for evaluation. Lots of speculation going on. Here's what is happening right now. Again, Marine One is sitting on the White House lawn waiting to take Donald Trump to Walter Reed. This right here is a live shot from the Periscope feed of ABC News. That's what this particular shot here is. And so again, Marine One has been sitting there on the lawn for at least the last 45 minutes waiting to take Donald Trump to Walter Reed Medical Center, which of course is the preferred destination where the president gets treated. Folks, this is absolutely stunning and shocking news. We do have a variety of guests, medical experts. Folks, let me know when we have those folks on. Right now, I want to bring on my panel. Rob Richardson, host Disruption Now podcast. Quentin Young is host of Poppin' Politics podcast. Folks, let me know when we have Dr. Ebony Hilton and the other guest on. This is a huge story. We're going to get to the unemployment folks later, not right now. This is a huge story here. Rob, this is again. Here's a guy who has been completely ignoring coronavirus, refused to put on a mask, mocks Joe Biden at a debate on Tuesday, did not require masks to be worn at the White House, would tell reporters in the White House, take your mask off so I can hear you, and then when one reporter said, no, I prefer to leave it on, then he would just shrug and shirk, then tried to say that Dr. Anthony Fauci agreed with him when it came to mask wearing on Tuesday's debate. Fauci came up the next day saying that was not the case, and now Trump is positive with coronavirus. First Lady, positive with coronavirus. Hope Hicks, positive with coronavirus. Other Republicans, positive with coronavirus. He now gets a treatment, now is being taken to Walter Reed. I think he might now realize COVID-19 is real.
Well, you would hope he does now. You know, I'll just say this, Roland. Really, three thoughts went through my mind. The first thought, I mean, and I hate that I even thought this was, is this true?
Here we go. Sorry, 1 second here. Go back to my iPad, folks. So clearly Donald Trump is now walking out. They are shielding us from seeing what he looks like and wearing. And again, this is the ABC News feed. You see the Marine right there. He's already saluting. On the far right, you see the White House photographer taking photos there. We can't see. Normally, when the president goes out to Marine One. Normally what they do is you have White House reporters who are assembled. Cameras are there live. They have prevented the media from being able to show live from there. I don't see who those folks are on the left-hand side. If that's the pool report, we don't know. We cannot see if Donald Trump has a hazmat suit on, if he has on a mask, a face shield. We don't see any of that because the White House is blocking that view. We can see right now, because they changed the shot, the Marine who stands at attention, Marine One, has now moved out of the way, which means that Donald Trump is now on Marine One. And just in a few seconds, we're going to see the helicopter blades start whirring, and then you're going to see them take off. The fact, Rob, that they have not been really forthcoming with information. Kayleigh McEnany, when she came out earlier, did not spend lots of time talking to the media. It was about 4 minutes or so. Mark Meadows, he spent talking to the media. Now you see Marine One is about to start up in a second, and then in a moment you're going to see liftoff. The fact that they are flying him to Marine One as opposed to driving him to Walter Reed, again, this White House, I can't trust anything that they say. This, Rob, is serious.
No, I completely agree. I mean, but going to my first thought, I didn't believe anything initially because it's just hard to know because there's so much misinformation, direct lies. But then I went to the second point to think that this is not something that he would want to fake, I don't think, because he wants to be in front of crowds. And then and then we have a lot of information that's confirmed it. The third thought that came to my head was a hopeful one. I hope people understand that this is real. I hope they will take precautions. As you said earlier, the president was encouraging people not to wear a mask as late as the debate one day before he tested positive, right? He's telling people, no, we don't need to wear a mask everywhere. We don't need to be that. Like, this is serious. Listen to the scientists. Listen to the people that have been saying this. This is how viruses spread pretty simply. Once you get around other people, they come. So what I hope people realize, Roland, is that we are all connected. Just like Dr. Martin Luther King said, it's not an isolated thing. We are connected. We're connected more than we ever have been. If we ignore these things, it hurts all of us.
Let's go. First of all, Dr. Ebony Hilton. She is on the line right now. Dr. Hilton, she, of course, is an anesthesiologist, University of Virginia. We've had her on the show for months now talking about this whole issue of coronavirus. When you see this here, when you see the president, again, now being flown to Walter Reed, look, Ebony, I hope his folks, the anti-mask people, the folks who've been sitting here trying to rally and blast the people, now realize your boy got it.
Yeah. And, it's unfortunate to me. I want to start off this conversation by saying we should never wish ill on someone, because I do believe that we should wish the very best for all. But it is unfortunate that it will take most times for things to land on your doorstep before some people take it seriously. And this comes at the tail of 210,000 Americans have already lost their lives to this.
As you're talking, Marine One is now lifting off from the White House on his way to Walter Reed Medical Center. Dr. Ebony, keep going.
Yeah, this is a very surreal image right here. And it's unfortunate because it's one of those things that we could have prevented. We're seeing these cases increase daily of people being diagnosed with COVID-19. There's not only the old and not only the sick, it's children as well. And like I said, we've crossed as a nation 210,000 people that we know have died from COVID-19. And by the end of December, we're expecting another 200,000 Americans to have died from COVID-19. This is real. And I think in this moment, we should take a note that the president has the absolute best healthcare that is available. He has stringent testing protocols where anyone that's going to be around him is screened to see if they have any signs and symptoms of COVID-19. They're literally tested to make sure they don't have COVID-19. And yet he and his wife are both now infected. And he is so sick to the point that he needs to be flown out to get medical care at Walter Reed.
Now let's speak to that. You have been on the front lines dealing with this, battling with this here, as people have been trying to deal with this here. and you've had to treat people. You've seen it there. You've been in the ICU. You're an anesthesiologist. And so here's what we know. They announced that he had mild symptoms. They said low-grade fever, cough, things along those lines. Then all of a sudden, he got this particular treatment. Can you explain what that treatment was?
Right. So, for one, it's unfortunate, but we don't know exactly if his symptoms were mild or what he has, right? This administration has been feeding lies to the public for so long and downplaying this virus that we can't trust what's being said. But what we have been at least told is that he had mild symptoms for COVID-19. And it was just now released by his physician that he was treated with Regeneron, which is a monoclonal antibody. It's a cocktail of an antibody that targets the S protein. Now, we know there's been talks all along about vaccines and whether or not antibodies can be a potential way that we can help treat patients. This antibody, this monoclonal antibody, has just been in trial here recently. I think they had a total of 275 patients that have undergone treatment in an outpatient setting. And they did have actually promising results with this new drug. Now, granted, it is new and it has not gone through all the phases of what we do to definitively say that this is a drug that we should use. So in this time, it is one of those things of, is it the COVID-19 that's causing him to go into the hospital? Is it a reaction to the medication? Is this something altogether different? We don't know. And like I said, unfortunately, I'm not sure if we can trust all the reports that come out. But we do pray that he is going to be well, because this is our country. And at this point, it is a national security risk.
And on that particular point, again, look, so many people, here's a guy, 74 years old, obese, two of the biggest risk factors you see right there. This is ABC has a video of him walking out moments ago, walking to the helicopter. That particular video there is, and the thing, Ebony, that people have to understand is this is not something you play around with. This is simply not. 204,000 people have already died. 7 million Americans have been infected, and the callousness by which he has acted in terms of not caring about masks, telling people don't wear masks. Now we know White House reporters are testing positive for coronavirus. Staffers as round. He acted as if he was invincible and that he couldn't get it and that no one else should really worry about it. He encouraged these folks, these anti-mask people, having their rallies, bringing their guns to the state capitol in Michigan, storming the capitol in Idaho, other different places. And now, he tests positive. The governor of Missouri and his wife tested positive. We know, a Republican. We know, of course, the governor of Virginia did so as well. It does not matter what your status is. You can get COVID-19.
Right. And from the very beginning of this pandemic, we've been talking about the 3 T's: testing, tracing, and treatment. And unfortunately, that second T is going to be an absolute nightmare in this situation, because Donald Trump has held rallies in multiple cities across our nation where tens of thousands of Americans have been in attendance. So exactly where did he pick it up? Right now the media is concentrating on Hope Hicks, and I actually, in a way, feel bad for her, because although she is negligent and although she should also be ashamed of the number of people that she potentially infected due to ego, we don't know, and we cannot say for sure that she was the reason why Donald Trump was actually infected. And it is impossible actually to trace out the number of people he's been in contact with and the number of people they've been in contact with at this stage. And so we as a nation have to buckle up. What we know is during this fall, our numbers are already expected to increase. And now with this growing number of people that we see kind of close to the home of the center of the safety of our nation, that's a very scary place for America to be. So we got to start taking this seriously, and hopefully his followers now will take it seriously and will start to wear their masks so we can all be safe.
And one of the point that you made there when you talked about contact tracing, Again, there was a video earlier of folks there in the White House Rose Garden. They was Saturday for the announcement of Amy Coney Barrett. They were just there hugging, kissing, no mask. In fact, here is a video right here. This is from Saturday. That and it shows you the nonsense, if you will, Dr. Hilton, that and the sheer arrogance of these folks, acting as if COVID is no big deal. Watch this here. Look at this video here. They're just sitting here hugging, no mask, talking to each other. That's Senator Mike Lee. He now has tested positive. Chris Christie, hugging, close. He was on ABC News on Tuesday night next to other staffers as well.
This is a mess. One thing, as far as Senator Mike, that I think was he in Utah?
Utah. Senator Mike Lee from Utah.
Yeah. Right. And one of the statements he made was that he tested negative at the White House and tested positive back home. And this is a very important distinction to make. For one, the tests are only as good as the amount of virus that you're actually shedding. So we talked about before that you can actually be infected and not necessarily test positive because your viral load is not high enough yet to be detected by that test. The second thing is we know that not all tests are created equal. So at the White House, they've been using the rapid test, the Abbott Now. And that test has been shown that 3 out of every 10 times that is saying that you are negative, that is not true, that you actually are positive. And so people rely heavily on this test that I'm negative, this test that I'm negative. We have to do better at recognizing what the experts are trying to tell everyone, that you should treat everyone as if they are positive, that you should wear your mask at all times, that you should socially distance, that you should wash your hands and not touch your face. We have not changed that stance since beginning of March, right? And it still remains today, if not more so. We have to be hyper vigilant as we're heading into this flu season.
As you're talking, this is video from C-SPAN of Marine One landing at Walter Reed Hospital. This is a live look here. The point that you just made, that again, that people don't seem to get about coronavirus, who don't seem to understand, its impact, is that it doesn't just show up immediately. It takes a while for it to show up.
Yeah. And, the thing I like to kind of compare it to for women, and I think everyone can understand this, pregnancy tests. Think of COVID-19 tests like a pregnancy test. You can test negative for a pregnancy test Monday morning, but if you and your significant other, your spouse, if you are engaging in activity where there is a lack of protection, you can be pregnant by Monday night. It literally is that fast of exchange of bodily fluid in the form of respiratory droplets that can lead you to have a different life path. And what we know with COVID-19 is that for the most part, yes, a good 80% of us will have mild to no symptoms at all. But we know that there's a subset of people that it doesn't give you a warning, and it can trigger this severe inflammatory response within your body. And the thing that we have to recognize too is that we're praying that Donald Trump, that he does survive this. What we know is that we've had 4% of all the closed cases in the United States have passed away from COVID-19. But the remaining people, the ones who have actually recovered, they've had massive strokes, they've had massive heart attacks, they've had their limbs amputated because of blood clots. They now have dialysis requirements because their kidneys are no longer working. They have permanent oxygen requirements because their lungs are no longer working. This is the truth of what COVID-19 is. And the progression to that, from the time you get infected to the time you start to show symptoms, is typically 5 days. The time you get to start showing symptoms, so you need to be in the hospital, is typically right around 5 to 10 days, right? And then unfortunately, the time that you get infected to the time of actually death is about 2 weeks. So Donald Trump was just tested positive within the last few hours. he has a long road ahead of him. And these next couple of weeks may feel like the longest 2 weeks of his life.
We also need to, as we talk about this thing, also expand this and to get people to understand. Again, a Marine One is landed at Walter Reed Medical Center, and you see he's getting off. First of all, not wearing any gloves, just simply has a cloth mask on. He doesn't even have an N95 mask. Earlier today we saw Vice President Joe Biden give a speech, and he was wearing an N95 mask the entire time.
This is one of those things, again, where at least he has a mask, but it's one of those things where I cannot imagine any expert has told him to come out with a cloth mask on. And he was on an airplane, an enclosed space, with many people who also look like they just have on cloth masks. And they have every resource at their fingertips they could be using. So why are they not? And so to give people an example, you do have the different type masks. You have the cloth mask that you can buy. There are many vendors online that people have these cloth masks. The next step up is going to be a form of surgical mask, and we have the 3-layer surgical masks that are also really good if you have any other option. You then have the N95 mask, and these are the ones that we've talked a great deal about that help to filter out the virus somewhat. But
we're showing the video here. This is Joe Biden earlier, and again,
right.
Giving he gave the speech with his mask on the entire time. Okay, Ebony, go. She's about to show us these other masks. Is that the monstrosity you wear when you're in University of Virginia Hospital?
Yes. This is a P100 mask because I don't play with COVID. And so, there's different levels of safety that you can take if you're going to be in close proximity with COVID-19 virus. This one clearly fits over my entire face. But in the case of Donald Trump, when you have tested positive, at this point, his body has the virus, but everyone else is on the plane. Protect yourself. And it's one of those things of, I don't know what else it will take for this administration. Herman Cain died from COVID-19, and that wasn't enough. Now the president and the first lady of the White House have COVID-19, and clearly the chief of staff came out today earlier to talk about the fact that they were positive without a mask on.
Right.
And
in fact, another White House official stated that a mask is still optional in the White House. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you people?
I don't know what the bottom is. I oftentimes ask people that. What is your bottom? What will it take before it wakes you up? And initially I thought that this would be one of those things of, if we have 100 people die in the United States, and then it came to, well, if 1,000 people die, surely. And then it was 100,000. And now I'm thinking, will it take 500,000 people? Will it take 1 million? And I for sure thought, if the president, the leader of this campaign of this is a hoax and this is nothing, if he gets it, then surely that will be an end to all this. And the last 10 hours of me knowing this, I've seen zero change out of some people. And so, I'm not hopeful that this will stop. But I'm praying that Donald Trump, after this, will change his tune and hopefully help to save hundreds of thousands of American lives.
Ebony, yesterday, actually 2 days ago, the governor of Mississippi, he decided to lift the state's mask mandate. Also, yesterday, the governor of Texas chose to tell the big counties they can only have one mail drop box. I think what is going to happen, I would hope, that all of these idiots out here who've been playing games with COVID, who've been playing games with politics, are now going to realize, hello, y'all might want to cut the nonsense out, because if your guy, Trump, got it, everybody's at risk.
Oh, yeah. And for sure. And I think one important thing, too, with Trump that we need to notice with this attack on politics, we know necropolitics are policies that directly influence whether or not you live or die. That's going to be on the line with this election this year. And I do encourage everyone to vote. But we notice that Trump, you have free health care. you were not only you have free health care, but you were actually given a treatment in your home and then flown to another hospital for immediate care. That's socialized medicine. And that's the thing that you've been touting about, that we don't need that in America, that Biden is a socialist. But healthcare, we should not be debating whether or not, if someone is sick and they're on their deathbed, whether or not we should be able to help them in that moment. And hopefully he will now be the champion for that changing. But yeah, the changing around of ballots and where someone can go and vote, that is all a tactic to disenfranchise people. And I'm hoping that people don't fall for it, that we show up early and make your voices known.
Quentin Young, I want to pull you in right now. Again, all of these folks are sitting here. Conservatives are talking about folks should be praying for the president and pulling through. And first of all, we don't want to see anyone be seriously ill or die from COVID-19. But I think about Herman Cain. I think about Herman Cain, who goes to the president's rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Shortly thereafter, gets coronavirus. Less than 1 month later, he's dead. And all of these people who play games with this don't want to do social distancing. He kept having rallies. Again, for his senior aide, Hope Hicks, to actually get test positive, and he still go to a fundraiser in New Jersey like it's no big deal, and no one at that fundraiser knows that she had tested positive, and at that very point, he was carrying coronavirus. That shows you the absolute disregard that Donald Trump has for other people's health and well-being.
The issue that I have here is where does it go from here? Right? We see that it's serious because I don't believe Donald Trump would want to go to the hospital if it wasn't, right? I'm sure they almost had to drag him there. So at this point, what his surrogates say? What happens with him now? Because he has to get some amount of treatment. It has to be a big issue, right? And I kind of don't believe that they're really going to shift their stance on coronavirus that much. They're going to still downplay this issue.
Julianne Malveaux, there are a lot of people out here who are saying this isn't true, it's false. You can't, and this is part of the deal, part of the reason why when you're in administration and you lie to people for the last 3.5 years, no one believes you. There are people who are going, we don't know if this guy actually has it. We think he's lying. We think this is all about getting attention. We think this shuts down the whole white supremacy, QAnon, as well as Proud Boys whole deal. This is what happens when people don't have trust in government, because you haven't earned the trust. And that's why you're already seeing folks say, hey, we think this is all a charade.
Well, he has set the foundation for lying. He's told more than 20,000 lies since he's been in office. I've heard people say either they don't believe he has it, or others say it must be worse than they're even putting out there when they first said mild symptoms. Well, you don't go to the hospital for mild symptoms. So people are just all over the place because they don't know. And because, Mark Meadows, that little thing he did, the press conference, whatever he did, it was so shallow. It was ridiculous. And again, as the sister doctor said, and without a mask. How do you do this without a mask? Well, you do it if you're sending mixed signals. This is serious. It's not that serious. I don't have to wear a mask. Last week, Trump went to Jacksonville, Newport News, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He went to Cleveland. He went to Duluth, Minnesota. He went all over the place. Minnesota, Missouri, one of those. He went all over the place. So who knows? I mean, the issue of tracking is very important here, because who knows who was close to him? Who knows who touched him or who he coughed on? And he didn't have to cough. All he has to do is open his mouth and start spewing, and those droplets are falling. So, don't nobody believe. Everybody has some skepticism about what's going on because he set the foundation for this skepticism.
Ebony Hilton, I want to bring you back in. You and I were on the phone. We were talking before he was having the rally there in Newport News. And you were like, let me pull up the stats here. And the folks in Newport News were begging him not to come. And again, the sheer arrogance to keep having these large rallies. And then he was like, well, we had them outdoors. No, you lied because you had a couple indoors as well. And these idiots are just standing there right next to each other and and no mask. And then when somebody comes on stage about wearing a mask, it happened in Ohio. The lieutenant governor was on stage about wearing a mask and these fools start booing him.
Right. I mean, and that's not the only lie, right? I hope his supporters noticed that initially he said it was a hoax. And then it turned from being a hoax to I am now promoting this drug, hydroxychloroquine, right? And one thing I want everyone to notice is that in the report that his physician released in the treatment that was given emergently to Donald Trump in the White House, it did not contain hydroxychloroquine. Now, this is a drug that he's been pushing for the last 7 months, telling the American public that the reason why they don't want to give you this drug is just to make me look bad. And that's why I hope his supporters see that when he himself has been diagnosed with COVID-19, did he ask for that drug to be given? And the answer is no, because it is shown to have increased mortality with that drug. And so this is just a number of his lies that he continues to tell. And the wool has been lifted from everyone's eyes. I'm hoping everyone saw the helicopter have to take him to Walter Reed. And so we can get on with the next phase of how do we deal with this pandemic and have it based in truth and in science.
Also, Dr. Hilton, I certainly hope also the people who keep playing games with this, the people who keep going, having events and having parties and going to clubs and going to restaurants and bars and having all these massive get-togethers, not wearing masks, realize that this thing is real. Again, you and I have talked about young folks, 19 years old, 25 years old, dying because of coronavirus, people who are in great shape. The problem is doctors still do not know what this thing does to different bodies. It'll hit somebody who's in their 40s. The guy who was in Massachusetts, I believe, who was a triathlete. I mean, they fought for this man to live, and it was unbelievable. And they said they tried every single thing, and then other people impacted them a whole different way. Doctors simply don't know, and so when people go, it's no big deal, you don't know how this thing might impact you. You might be the fittest person in the world, but all of a sudden it gets in your body and just other stuff happens.
Right, and it's one thing for adults. I have a special place in my heart for children. Children have no choice, and adults have made choices for them to now be placed into schools where they can be potentially put at risk of contracting this. And how many have at this point? Well, we know that over 500,000 children have been diagnosed with COVID-19. It's been an increase of over 720% as far as the cases from early summer to now. When you look at hospitalizations, we've had an increase in over 346% of children now having to be hospitalized for COVID-19. And of those, 1 in every 3 are required to be admitted to the ICU. And of those, you're 5 times more likely to be admitted to the ICU. If you're a Black child, you're 8 times more likely to be admitted to the ICU if you're a Hispanic child. And we've even seen an increase in the number of children that are dying from this disease. And that's where I have, the major problem is that the children, they don't have a voice. And then when we're looking at even the age group of people who, again, don't die, we're seeing, for instance, at the University of Pennsylvania, I think, the athletes who tested positive for COVID-19, 15 to 30% of them, when they had a scan, even if they had mild to no symptoms at all, they were shown to have inflammation of their heart. There was another study in Germany where of 100 people who had no symptoms or mild symptoms related to COVID-19, 78% of them had inflammation of their heart when there was a scan performed. And what does that do for the long-term effect? Does that mean that in 15 years from now, are we going to see a great increase in the number of people who have heart failure? That instead of you having heart failure at the age of 60, 70 years old, you're now having heart failure at the age of 40? That's what we need to be real about in the United States, is that we are learning things every single day, and we cannot afford to infect the mass of us with something that we don't know what the end point looks like.
Rob, I want to go to you. This is that again, when we start looking at how we move forward. What this just I guess for lack of a better phrase, folks have been talking about karma. They've been talking about how things come at you real fast. I mean, look, this is the deal. This administration has played games with coronavirus. They have ignored scientists. They've ignored doctors. The CDC has altered information. They've stopped them from giving different directives. They've done all these different things. They wanted to play this thing down like it was, hey, let's just put it out of sight, out of mind. That was their strategy. And now it's front and center. Now they've canceled all campaign events. Now they're going virtual. I dare say right now, Senator Kamala Harris and the Biden campaign should come out and say no to a debate in Utah. We're not getting on a plane. Have it in Washington, D.C. No audiences there, but no, damn going to Utah.
I mean, to me, they don't even have to have a debate at this point anymore. I think after the first debate, for a lot of reasons that you've already discussed, they don't need to have it. This is another reason why they don't need to have it. There's nothing that we're going to gain from a debate. But I want to go back to something that the sister said that I think is really, really, really important, that really needs to be emphasized, that the fact that we don't know the long-term effects. She already talked about the health effects. But what are going to be the long-term effects of really the economics of the whole situation? What about our healthcare companies? I don't know if they overrule Obamacare. Are they going to say this is a pre-existing condition, you're no longer covered? Or is your insurance company, when they see maybe you've had COVID, will you not now be able to get life insurance even though you're 40, because they don't know the effects of the future, so they don't want to give you life insurance? I mean, there are so many things that we don't know, and I hope that this is a turning point really for our nation and how we do healthcare, how we invest in each other. I mean, we have one or two ways. We can keep going the way that we were going, and the way that we were going, we were really literally killing each other because people did not want to believe that this virus was there because it was politically inconvenient, it was economically inconvenient, but the facts are facts, data is data, and science works. And I really hope that we can come together and actually start solving problems and moving forward as a nation, and not go back to this just stupid way, or this emotional way of just reacting just because it's comfortable for us in the moment.
Dr. Ebony Hilton, your final word.
Yeah, I guess my final word is that at the end of the day, this is not political. These are people. At this stage, literally 1 in every 1,000 Black people who were alive in January has died from COVID-19. That's a crazy number. And we're seeing that, again, with the inflow of the fall season. I'm really afraid because we have crippled the trust of the community into the medical system. There's been criticism of the CDC and the World Health Organization, and people don't know what to trust anymore. So I'm hoping people trust me when I say this. What I fear is that the combination of getting the flu and COVID-19 at the same time, that there's an overwhelming inflammatory response. And that's what caused so many people early on to pass away from COVID-19. And we haven't made much advancements as far as treatment options. We don't have a vaccine at this point, right? So if you will do me a favor and just go out and get your flu shot as early as you can get it. I got mine 2 days ago. Get your flu shot so that you can best protect yourself, and then wear your mask. Stay at home as much as possible. I know it's tough, but we're going to have to buckle down these next few months. And by a few months, I mean well into 2021, until we get our finger on the pulse of this thing, because we all want to live. And at this point, we've lost too many of our family and friends. Yeah. So let's try to make it together, and we can do this.
All right, then. Dr. Ebony Hilton, University of Virginia. We surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, folks. Back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks at Seek.com, of course, they Black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. They have a couple of great products that you can actually get. This is their VR headset. This headset, folks, allows for you to actually take your cell phone, pop it right into here, close it up, and then you can actually watch the VR content, the virtual reality content on seek.com right there through your phone. Actually, it's pretty cool. You can also look at 360-degree video from other websites as well, and it puts you literally right there where the video was shot. And so they have this particular headset right here. They also have their 360-degree 4D headphones. And so these headphones right here, which are Bluetooth. Also, they have the headset, which you use for when if you're for all you gamers out there. And then, of course, it has this amazing sound, really, which actually covers around. Typically, just have the headphones just right here, but this actually has a sound that goes all around your head. I love these headphones. Love listening to music with them and watching videos as well. And so, all you got to do, folks, is go to seek.com, CEEK.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020. That's RMVIP2020 to actually try these out. And so that's what we want you to do. All right, folks. So again, go to seek.com.